Let's go! Now it's time for the Rob Johnson Sports Show, presented by the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Rob Johnson Sports Show, episode 56. Another episode of Rob Johnson Sports Show. If you didn't see episode 55 last night with myself and Larry Patterson, please make sure you go and you check that out. Rob Johnson Sports Show here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. Of course, we're talking NBA draft. I believe the draft is going to be Wednesday. You'll get my top 30 picks in the first round today. First and foremost, let's discuss this quick topic here. We'll get to the NBA draft in a second. My apologies from last night. We did not get to the fantasy pick of the day, being Tom Brady against John Elway. The topic was basically who would you pick against the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. We'll get to that topic next week. Again, we ran out of time last night, so we will definitely get to that topic next week as we talk more more NFL, and basically, more fantasy picks to come. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's talk about something outside of the NBA, and that being tonight's Game 7. Game 7 tonight between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. You see, folks, when this series started, I was mainly on the side of saying that for Edmonton, they had to come in, they had to play strong, they had to start off strong, and they could not play. They basically couldn't play around. They couldn't play around with these guys because the Florida Panthers are a serious team. They're trying to win the Stanley Cup. But one thing that Edmonton has that Florida doesn't is Connor McDavid. They have Connor McDavid, who continues to be one of the more impressive players that I'm not going to sit here and say that we've ever seen in the National Hockey League, but PK Subban made a few interesting points this morning. We'll never see another Wayne Gretzky, in my opinion. We never will, unless this guy can pull off 5 Stanley Cups in the next, I don't know how many years, we are not going to see another player like Wayne Gretzky. But one thing I will say about a guy like Connor McDavid, he's one of the more impressive players that I've ever seen in the National Hockey League. He brings everything. He can score, he can assist, everything that you need him to do on the field of play, he can do it. I've been very impressed by him. I've been very impressed by his ability to get things done on the court. And when you look at what they've done as a team, to come back from 3-0 is nothing short of impressive. You're talking about a Florida Panthers team that got through some of the better teams in their conference. They continue to be very impressive. They continue to show everyone that they are, that they're a legitimate contender. A lot of people thought New York would have been here. I personally thought that New York was going to be here. I thought Dallas was going to be. I thought we were going to get a Dallas and New York series, but that's not what we got. What we ended up getting was what we have tonight. And I believe, for me, the thing that I'm impressed with the most when you look at a team like the Oilers, who I'll bring their stats and everything like that up in 1 second. The thing I'm impressed with the most is their tenacity. When you are a hockey team, you're able to come back like they did and overcome the adversity that they overcame. A lot of people thought they were going to lose before the Stanley Cup Finals. A lot of people thought that. But what they've ultimately brung is I'm not going to say that they've re-energized anything here when it comes to this. Well, the NHL already has been a great league regardless. But when you talk about the playoffs, right? We're going to go through what the Oilers have done in the playoffs. Okay, so the first round against the LA Kings, they win the first game. Um, what is it? Trying to see here. What, did they win this thing? All right, let's see. They won game one 7-4. They won game three 6-1. They won game four 5-1, and they won game five 4-3. They lost in game two. All right, so they beat the Kings, who are a pretty decent team, right? Then they go on. They play the Canucks. They're on the road against Vancouver. Vancouver was one of and if you did not see the Vancouver series against Edmonton, Vancouver and Edmonton was a physical hockey series. Probably one of the more physical ones I've seen in a long time. They lose game one. They lose game two. They lose game. They win game two. They lose game three. They lose and they win game four. They win game four, lose game five, win game six, and they win game seven. So again, in that series, they lost. They won. Let me see here. Make sure I got this right. Yeah, pretty much. They won game seven, they won game six, game four, and they won game two. So they played a physical series against a very good Vancouver team, right? So and they got they got the overtime win. So they got the overtime win there, and they lost game two in overtime against the Kings. So you have two overtime games so far in the playoffs if you are to that point if you're Edmonton. Okay. Then you go to game one against Dallas. At Dallas, you win game one in overtime. Again, you win it on game one. You lose game two, 3-1. You lose game you lose, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. You lose game four, 5-3. And at that point, folks, because Jason Robinson I believe he had a hat trick in that 5-3 game. You're looking at a team that is down and out, and you don't think they're going to come back. They're down, 2-1 at this point. Then they come back. They win a crucial game five at home against Dallas. Then they win again, which is game six. And then they win. What did we see? What was that? That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, actually, they won it in 6 games. So they beat Dallas in the last 2 games by a combined 5-2 in game 5 and game 6. So basically, after they lost that game against Jason Robinson and the crew, where Robinson had the hat trick, they go on to win that series. Dallas is up 2-1 at that point. They go on to win the next 3. So that takes tenacity. You go on to the Stanley Cup final. The first 2 games, I want you all to think about this. Think about this. First 2 games at Florida, they lose. They lose those games by a combined 7-1 goals. Think about that, folks. You lose your first 2 Stanley Cup games by a combined 7-1. Okay? You get to game 3. You lose 4-3. But in that game, Skinner started to show cracks. Skinner started to show cracks for the Florida Panthers. So if you're Florida at that point, you're like, man, we're having a pretty good series. We're up 3-0. But when you look at everything like that, you're starting. I'm sorry, not Skinner, but Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky started giving up goals. I'm sorry, Skinner plays for the Oilers. I apologize about that. But Sergei Bobrovsky starts giving up goals. And see, coming into the series, Skinner was the one who had all the questions for the Oilers. Like, is he, when you look at Stuart Skinner, is he going to be the reason that the Oilers lose this series? Well, first 3 games, he gives up what? 11 goals? As a team to give up 11 goals. I'm not sure I forgot if he was pulled or not, but he gives up 11 goals, and you're the team that's supposed to bring the championship back to Canada after, what, 31 years of Canada not winning a Stanley Cup. Um, so then, after that game, as we all know, everyone who loves the game of hockey knows what happened next. After that game, if I can go back, I'm gonna go back to the stats here, go back to the schedule. After that, the Oilers won Game 4, 8-1. That changed the entire series. So the first three games of the series, the Oilers were outscored 11-4. 11-4 in the last three games. Do you know how much the Oilers have outscored the Panthers? They've outscored the Panthers by a remarkable, and this is crazy when you think about it, 18-5. 18-5. 18-5. So think about that. 18-5, and then the Oilers were outscored 11-4 in the first three games, then 18-5 the next three games. We are headed towards a absolutely historic Stanley Cup final tonight. Who's going to win? In my opinion, if you're Florida, Sergey's going to have the game of his life. He's going to have the game of his life. If you are the Florida Panthers, Matthew Truchek, you're going to have a great game. You're going to have a great game. You're going to have to outscore Connor McDavid. You're going to have to out-hustle Connor McDavid. This is going to be a team effort from both teams. Power plays are going to be crucial. You're going to have to be physical. So power plays and physicality tonight is going to be the number two, top two things. And number three, goaltending. Because just like in baseball, you can have all the hitting you want, but if you don't have a good pitcher, you don't have anything. And just like in hockey, if you don't have a good goalkeeper, and if your defense is not up to par, you're not going to win anything. So for me, when I look at this team overall, both teams, they got to play top-notch defense because the first three games, Florida dominated. Again, 11-4. In the last three games, 18-5. 18-5. That's crazy. That's sick. That's ridiculous when it comes to, I don't think I've ever really seen that in the NHL. That's crazy. 8-5-5. And the Panthers have only scored more than one goal in game 6. I'm sorry, in game 5. In tonight's game 7. The Panthers are gonna have to bring all of their arsenal tonight, because if they don't, they'll be home, but they will not be bringing home Stanley Cup. I think that if the Oilers can win this, it'll be historic. It will revive the sport in a lot of ways, because Game 7 is Game 7. With the NBA, for the last 2 years, the NBA finals have been a little mediocre. If we're being completely honest with ourselves, they've been a little mediocre. The only good thing is we had mainly an American, win the MVP this year. Last year we had Nikola Jokic win. He's a foreign player. Nothing wrong with that, but, keeping things in the country, stuff like that, and, showing that American basketball can still do its thing. So I think that for the fact of country pride, we would like to see Florida win tonight, but I cannot give it to Florida. I can't give it to the Florida Panthers. I think the Edmonton Oilers win tonight. Connor McDavid wins the most outstanding player of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, and I believe that Edmonton brings home the Stanley Cup to Canada for the first time in 31 years, and that's how I just look at that. Now let's get to another topic before we get to our NBA draft special. Scotty Barnes has signed a 5-year, $270 million deal with the Toronto Raptors, or reportedly he's going to sign that deal. I think this is a big deal. I think it's a good thing for the Toronto Raptors. I think that Barnes is a young, good, up and coming player. He gives me Kawhi Leonard vibes. He shows up, he plays defense, and he can make his shots. I think you surround him with some better players. I think you give him some more talent into the future. He's still a really young guy. I think he's only 20. If I can look up his age really quick, I don't think that he's even that old, to be honest with you. He's still a young guy out of Florida State. I said back in 2021, I would have drafted him before Cade Cunningham, and I honestly still feel that way today. I don't think that he's 22 years old. He won't be 23 until August the 1st of this year. So I believe he's a great young player, and I believe that he's going to bring great things continuously to the Toronto Raptors. So let's get to our NBA draft special. Just remember that this is episode 56. We're doing Drew Willingham's show tonight, In or Out, at 9 p.m. Around 11:45 to 11:55 p.m. tonight, I'll be doing Gold Standard Wrestling. That should go about 30 minutes to about an hour. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot of wrestling talk to talk about, so we'll be getting to that tonight. But let's get to the NBA draft special here as we get to the teams. We're going to start out with the Atlanta Hawks. Who will the Atlanta Hawks be taking? I have them taking Zachary Rajar. He's a forward. I have them taking him because of this. I do not know how long I do not know how long Murray is going to be there. So when I did my research, they were saying, who will you take? Who will teams take? Who will they not take? Originally, I had them taking Alex Sarr, the center, but I just think that they need that shooting. They need shooting in Atlanta, and I think there's about to be a mass overhaul in Atlanta, including Trae Young. So we'll see how that goes. Next, number 2, we have the Washington Wizards taking Alex Sarr, center. I believe this is a great pick. He's a great building block, and the Wizards have some good young pieces on that team. So this is another good piece that the Wizards can bring in, develop, and I think that it's a great move from them. Next, we have the Houston Rockets, Reed Shepherd, shooting guard out of Kentucky. Next, the San Antonio Spurs, Nikolai Topic, point guard out of Serbia. He's a really good player. I believe that he'll do some good things in the league. They need some more building blocks, and Nikolai Topic, point guard at Serbia, is the right move here. Stephon Castle, shooting guard out of UConn. I have him going to the Detroit Pistons at number 5. At number 6, Charlotte Hornets, I have them taking Donovan Cleveland, center out of UConn. Let me make sure here. And after that, we have Portland taking Dalton Kent out of Tennessee. He's a shooting guard. That's number 7. And then at number 8, we have Robb Dillingham, point guard at Kentucky, going to the San Antonio Spurs. Now, as we go to our next list over, we have the Memphis Grizzlies taking Ron Holland, shooting forward out of the G League. Next, the Utah Jazz, and I had to switch some of these picks up. I had to switch some of these picks up because some of them, a lot of teams need a shooting forward. And there are a lot of shooting forwards in this draft. Do I already mention Memphis, Ron Holland, shooting forward out of G League. Next, we have the Utah Jazz, Devin Carter, point guard out of Providence. The Jazz are desperate for point guards, so Devin Carter, point guard out of Providence. We have the Chicago Bulls taking Metis Buzelis, shooting forward out of France. He's a shooting forward out of G League. Buzelis is going to be a decent player. He's about 6'7", 6'8", I believe, so he should be good for the Chicago Bulls. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who are already loaded, I have them taking Cody Williams, shooting guard out of Colorado. He's a sneaky player. He could do some really good things for them. Getting rid of a guy like Josh Giddey, bring some size in there, and they already have their new point guard as well. So they should be good with that. Let's see here. Number 13, I have the Sacramento Kings taking Tyler Smith, shooting power forward guard. He's a power forward out of the G League. Next, we have Portland taking Isaiah Collier, point guard out of USC. They need point guard help in Portland really badly. Badly. The Miami Heat, I have them taking Zach Edey, center out of Purdue. This is a guy that a lot of people are wondering, what is Zach Edey going to do in the league? I think going to Miami, going under that Pat Riley system, going under that Eric Spoelstra system, the way they do things in Miami, I think that is perfect for him to go. At number 16, I have the Philadelphia 76ers taking Jared McCain, point guard out of Duke. They need point guard help and extra help in Philadelphia, so I think that is a great move for the Philadelphia 76ers. Number 17, I have the Los Angeles Lakers taking Deron Holmes, power forward out of Dayton. I've watched Deron Holmes. I saw him when he played against VCU. This guy will be perfect for the Lakers. I think that he is a threat to run the floor. He is a threat on the defensive end. You put him and Anthony Davis on the floor at the same time. You can even put Deron Holmes on the floor on his own without Anthony Davis. But you put him on the floor with Anthony Davis, I think that is an incredible move by the Los Angeles Lakers. Number 18, and this could be debated for years because we'll see how both players pan out. Khalil Ware, center out of Indiana, going to the Orlando Magic. The Magic need size. They really haven't had a real guy at center, in my opinion. And I don't think it's an opinion. I think it's a fact since Dwight Howard. I think he could bring some great things to the Orlando Magic. Number 19, I have the Toronto Raptors taking Ryan Dunn, shooting forward out of UVA. I think Ryan Dunn will be a perfect addition to that team besides Scotty Barnes. They need other shooting forward help. You can put him as shooting guard if you need to as well. I think Ryan Dunn out of UVA would be a good player. Number 20, Jacoby Walter out of Baylor. I think that he'll be a good player going to New Orleans as they need help at that shooting guard position. Going to Cleveland. At number 21, we have New Orleans. Make sure my list is still up there. Number 21, we have New Orleans taking Tyler Kolak. He's a point guard out of Baylor. Good player. I think that they definitely need help in New Orleans in that sense. Now, this may be a little bit of a reach to some people, but I think it's good. Jonathan Mogbo, power forward out of San Francisco, going to the Phoenix Suns. They need more size up front. I believe that he's a good rebounder. He'll be able to run the floor and do some good things for the Phoenix Suns. Milwaukee, Adam Bona, center out of UCLA. They need more size in Milwaukee. Lopez is only going to be there for so much longer. They need to add some more size and depth at that position. The New York Knicks, I have them taking Tristan De Silva, shooting forward out of Colorado. Size, can defend, everything you need. Number 25 for the Knicks, they have 2 picks back-to-back. Cal Filipowski, center from Duke. I believe this could be one of the steals of the draft. Filipowski, I believe, got a little bit of he had some issues in college with, going back and forth with players, refs, and whatnot. But I feel like him going to the Knicks and playing under that system he's a strong defensive player. He can score. He can shoot. So I feel like him going to New York is a great thing and a great pick overall. The Wizards at number 26, Jamal Shead, point guard out of Colorado. There goes Colorado again. Colorado produces good players in the league. I believe Jamal Shead will be a good player, point guard for the Washington Wizards. You already got your center, and now you'll get Shead, and I believe that would be a great pick for them. At number 27, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Justin Edwards. You get the Edwards brothers. Justin Edwards shooting forward out of Kentucky. And what we know about Kentucky players, once they get to the league, they start balling. So that's what we know about that. Denver at number 28. This is more of a luxury pick. Tijan Salon, shooting forward out of France. The Nuggets have everything they need. Maybe they can add some size at center in free agency, but the Nuggets pretty much have everything you want at this point. At number 29, the Utah Jazz, they add another point guard, Carlton Carrington, point guard out of Pittsburgh. It's very critical in the West that you have point guard play, and I believe that the Utah Jazz can add him at number 29 with a steal. Now, this is the pick right here that I think is going to be up there as far as steals, because if you're getting a Jalen Tyson shooting forward out of Cal, let me change my list. Apologize about that. There we go. There we go to the list. That's the number 25 through 30, first round. Boston getting Jalen Tyson, shooting forward out of California. I believe that is an ultimate steal for them. I believe he scored, 18, 19 points a game. So the rich only get richer if they're the Boston Celtics. You continue to bring in young talent who's good. So if I'm the Boston Celtics, you bring in the young talent. There's some other good players there that they can bring in throughout this draft. Now, the question that everybody wants to know is Bronny James. Why didn't I bring up Bronny James? Well, Bronny James is in the first round pick. Now, can Bronny James be a second round pick? Yes, he can. Because what people need to remember is coming into college, he was a really good basketball player, but he had a heart attack. And, anybody who's ever gone through any type of illness or some type of anything that happens to you medically, it affects you. So it affected him. And I don't think that we saw everything that he could give to USC. In fact, I think that if he could have came out of high school, he would. I don't think he was that interested in college. People talk about the 5 points per game. I understand that. He only scored 5 points per game. But most players don't have that high of an average in college basketball. But I think that the problem in today's culture, especially, I call it this FanDuel betting culture, is that we want everybody to score all these points. And are you going to give me the most points on FanDuel? It's not about that. It's about developing. College is about developing. You develop in college from an academic standpoint, a mental standpoint, and in basketball, football, whatever sport you're playing, before you get to the pros, you're developing your game. So that's what Bronny James is doing. Bronny James is developing his game. Do I think he'll be a decent player in the league? I think he has a chance to. Do I think that he goes to the Lakers? I do. I don't think that he gets drafted. I think that he is in my opinion, he should be an undrafted free agent. There are a lot of good players in this draft. I believe the Lakers should take every pick. They should take every pick and make sure that they build their team, because the Lakers have a possibility to be a really good team next year, in my opinion, if they bring in DeRon Holmes and if they draft well in the second round. There's nothing wrong with bringing Bronny James in as an undrafted free agent. Nothing wrong with it at all. As far as anything else we have today, that's the show. That's the show, Robb Johnson Sports Show, episode 56. Again, we're doing In and Out Sports Debate with Drew Willingham tonight. That's at 9 p.m. And then Gold Standard Wrestling, where we go over everything that's happened in the week of wrestling. That's around 11:45 to 11:50 tonight. So we'll see you all then. And again, enjoy your day, and we'll see you for In and Out tonight. And then we'll be back tonight for Gold Standard Wrestling here on the Robb Johnson Media and the Legacy Maker Sports Network. See you all tonight.
It's caught in the crossfire.